This is where we start with the flooring. I promised to make a little video about what I'm doing with these floors. So the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, obviously I dismounted it on the boat, brought it home, and then I dismount all hinges and handles and everything. I prepared a little bit. It would be a little boring for you guys to see me standing here screwing, so. And a good tip, I keep everything together in the same box, so I'm not losing anything. And then I use my sander. It's I don't know what it's called in English exactly, but in Denmark we call it eccentric sander. It vibrates and rotates. It's really good, and I use grain 120 in the beginning, and then I finish up with grain 240. It makes a very nice result. And I can feel this one is in a desperate need of some help. The guy who took this apart previously loved silicone, leaving some residue or whatever you call it, but there's silicone on the wood. It might even be that it will be impossible for me to make the lac stick here where the silicone is. It's a terrible thing. Silicone is fantastic for many things, just not for this. It's absolutely horrible, and it can, if you ask any car painter, he hates it. Now we're ready for the sanding. I just put a fresh one on, and when you start on projects like this, buy plenty. Yeah, so now I just sand it a little bit with my sander here. It does take quite a lot of sandpaper, and it's a tremendous difference when you look at it. We do have a few nicks in this floor, but it's, I mean, I can start to cut out and put new finery in, but I think I'll leave it as it is. I mean, after all this floor is 40 years old, so I think it's in pretty good condition considering after 40 years. So yeah. So now I need to hook up my hoover. I forgot, so I'm completely covered in dust. So I will hook up my hoover to the sander, because otherwise it's dust everywhere, and it'll kill you. I made a bit of a funny setup here. As you can see, I took my hoover and then I attached an extra hose. It's because this one is a little more flexible to my sander, and just to make it easy, and I hang it from the ceiling so I'm not having trouble with that all the time. I will change the sandpaper to grain 240. The first time 120 grain, and then 240 grain. That's the way I was too lazy the other day to hook up the hoover that I use for it. And I could feel it when I got to bed last night. I mean, it was, I was coughing like I had been smoking 200 cigarettes or something in a day. So it almost killed me. Yeah, so that was it. Grain 240. Now the worst, cleanup time. Pop, 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 pop. There you are. And now we are there where we need to start to put a little varnish on. So I take, this is a pair of old sneakers that I cut up, and then I will just wipe it off first with that to take the worst of the dust and small whatever things there could be. You can see, if you look at this, there's quite a lot of dust on the wood, and all that dust that will be visual if it's not clean. I use a resin cloth, and this one is like a sticky cloth, so whatever is left will stick to the resin. And what I did now this afternoon, after I was finished sanding down here in the garage, what I did was that I cleaned up the garage completely. I hoovered the floor. Then I left the garage to let whatever dust is still in the air, to let it settle. And then for this I use a roller. And I use like a foam roller. You see, under normal circumstances, this for using this, it requires that you use the thin A oil, but because these floorboards are so hard and they are so filled up with all kinds of whatever they have gotten over 40 years, so they are not taking anything in, almost nothing. So I will go straight for the finished product. You can see here. And it will make small tiny air bubbles, but that doesn't mean anything at all. They will disappear. I mean, for this kind of work, there's no rush. You need to take your time for it. It's absolutely, like I said before, clean, clean, clean and clean, and take your time. That was the first layer. All it needs now is peace and quiet, and leave it until tomorrow. I have the temperature I have here in the garage is around, I don't know, 12 degrees or something like that. It's not too hot, but it's doable. Yeah, good morning all, and here we are, ready in the garage for the next layer. So the next step is I will take my resin cloth or my sticky cloth, and I will wipe everything off one more time. So here we go, second layer. Now we are ready for the third layer. Just to give you a little idea what it actually looks like. Let's see if I can make a decent shot of this. I'm not really sure if you can see, but you have a little texture in the wood here. And the texture, that's exactly what I want. So when I'm touching it and I can feel it, it's not 100% even, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So now I will wipe it off one more time. I'm not sanding because it's actually quite okay. I will wipe it off one more time with the cloth here, the sticky cloth or the resin cloth. It also has a German name, Staubbindetusch. Something like that in German. Oh yeah, I'm not sure that's correct, but I'm sure you guys can tell me. What it is that it is floor plates and they will be scratched. So I'm not gonna put insane amount of effort into it. If it was a table, it would be totally different. I want it completely even, and I want it very, very deep and very shiny, and so you have that very deep look into the wood, but not for the floor. Yeah, morning guys. So here we go, the fourth and final layer of the varnish on the floor plates. Well, let's give it a try. Yeah, so now we are done with the floor plate, and I think it turned out okay. All we have to do now is put everything back together. I do like the play in the wood. You can see these light spots, and that's the way it is. I mean, it looks quite good actually. Yeah, okay, so just to sum up what we have done. And we start out with the sandpaper on the eccentric sander, grain 120. when it's all clean and it is the way you would like to have it, to even out the surface, to make it smooth and nice, then I use sandpaper grain 240. That makes a very nice and smooth surface. The surface you are gonna varnish, clean it off with a rag for starters, and then I don't know where you are based, of course, but in Scandinavia and Germany we can get these resin cloths. They're really, really good. You use that on the surface like you have seen in this video, and that takes the rest of the dust off. And the cleaning is really, really important. Like I have said before in this video, take your time. Do the base work proper. It will be so rewarding when you are finished, because the final result will be so much better if you take your time and do your preparations proper. For the varnish, I use also, that's something we can buy in Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland maybe even also, I don't know. I use a product from a company called Biltema, called Oil Primer A and Oil Finish B. As you can see on what we are doing, it turns out to be quite nice, and I know from previous that it's quite durable. And it's very easy to work with. Then for applying the varnish, I use a roller, just a simple roller handle. I don't know, it costs a few bob. And for varnish I use foam rollers, and of course a paintbrush. And for the roller stuff I use a roller tray, of course, and I use these inserts. That way you always have a clean tray. Another good thing is, you can do if you don't have access to replaceable trays, then simply put a plastic bag over. Yeah, that was about it for the varnish. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the videos, there will be more of them coming out. But if you like them and you think it would be worth it to follow us, then please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. You can follow us on Facebook. We have a little blog there as well, Sailing to New Horizons, and our YouTube channel, Sailing to New Horizons. And you are more than welcome to comment. All comments, good or bad, are very welcome.